One other NFL topic. Let's talk about the coaching carousel here because things are starting to evolve and starting to change. Sean Payton, at this point in time, he's no longer the guy in Denver, which really surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to meet with them on Tuesday. They canceled the meeting. I don't know whether it was Denver canceled the meeting because of all the things that Sean Payton wanted, or whether Sean Payton canceled the meeting because maybe he didn't like what he heard, or maybe he's not sold that Russell Wilson is the way out with no number one draft picks down road. Sean Payton is not the guy in Denver. Did interview in Carolina. That job closed this afternoon. They hired Frank Reich, the ex-Indianapolis Colts coach. I think that's a good hire. He was 40-33-1 in a tough situation where they had to rent quarterbacks, and some of those quarterbacks fell apart. Reich goes to Carolina, so Peyton's not going there. So that leaves him with Arizona, and it leaves him with Houston. I can't see anybody wanting to go to Houston, even though they're going to have the second pick in the draft, to work for that organization and all the problems they've got with player personnel. And you'd be under Nick Caserio, the general manager, who still got the job. So I don't know that Peyton is a candidate there. And that leaves you Arizona. And Arizona just hired a new general manager, and he's the one that's making the decision with Michael Bidwill. And I don't know that Kyler Murray's the right quarterback for Sean Payton, because is Kyler Murray a student of the game? There's the injury health factor of Kyler Murray and the size factor of Kyler Murray. And by the way, Arizona draft pick issue. So suddenly, instead of being the hot guy who's going to choose where he wants to go, I'm not sure he's going anywhere. My people tell me that Sean Payton is sitting and going to step away from this, go back and be a TV star on Fox for another year, and wait to determine what happens with Brandon Staley Chargers. If they don't get to the playoffs next year or go a little bit deeper, I think Staley's out of there. What happens with the Chargers, and what happens in Dallas with Mike McCarthy, who, despite being 30-20, is Dallas playing this weekend? No. And the other thing, Dallas just hit the eject button Thursday afternoon on 6 assistant coaches. They fired them.
Wow.
So big shake up there. So that's the latest. Peyton might be back on your TV telling you about games rather than coaching the games on TV. And maybe his decision is a year down road. And there's another subplot story. Dan Quinn, who many thought was going to be the second guy in Denver if Peyton didn't take the job. Dan Quinn just stepped away. He's going to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. He's informed the 3 or 4 teams that he interviewed with he's not leaving either. Denver could really be interesting because Denver has interviewed David Shaw, the former coach at Stanford, twice in a week. And they've had one Zoom call, and I believe there will be another interview with DeMeco Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, maybe on Monday. So one of those two guys might wind up being the guy that goes there. Not sure what Houston's going to do, not sure what Arizona's going to do, and Carolina has its head coach. So I threw a lot of data there on the table. Give me a response.
So if Peyton, maybe he's being very picky, and obviously these teams are being very picky about who they hire, but he can't be too picky. I mean, because if he goes back and just goes, back to Fox and is on TV, I mean, he's leaving a lot of money on the table. I mean, $15 million a year. He might be financially better off to take that Cardinals job, even though it's not an ideal situation.
I think the thing that scares teams away, he wants $15 million, if not more, per year. Nobody's ever paid that kind of money to a coach. He wanted to go where there was an established, fairly successful quarterback. Well, a bunch of these teams don't have that. He wanted the right to be the decision maker, the man, which means not only is he coming in as coach and bringing his staff, he's bringing his posse of front office executives that would join him, which means you're moving general managers out of the job. And then there's the compensation of New Orleans. We want 2 number ones. Team and number one's gold standard to fix your franchise. You're going to trade that away? So there's so many checklist items here that I think maybe forcing teams to rethink. From the dollar thing to the front office thing to the draft pick compensation thing. Maybe that's why there has not been a firm offer yet. And maybe, as you say too, John, maybe he's asking way, way too much. So that's where we are there.